I let my unemployed sister live with me while Rentree prepared and cleaned for her. After she got engaged, she blocked me, so I made sure her fiancé couldn't afford their apartment. This all began about 2 weeks ago when my sister's boyfriend asked her to move in with him and proposed. She then threw an engagement party earlier this week without inviting me, which was the last straw for me because we were already at odds and got into a heated argument. I confronted her about the fact that she hadn't even invited me, especially after I had supported her and let her live with me Rentree for the past year, and she told me that a fool like me wasn't of any help in the first place, so she doesn't want to keep in touch with me anymore because she's had enough of me. Of course, it was very ungrateful and disrespectful to me, so I called off this little agreement that I had with her boyfriend, and now she's apologizing relentlessly, but I don't need it anymore. For background, Janet, my sister, lost her job as a copywriter due to mass layoffs at her company. She tried working as a freelancer for a while, but that didn't pay enough, and eventually she couldn't make ends meet, so she had to come to me. Before that, she and I had a mediocre relationship. We weren't particularly close, but I allowed her to move in with me because I felt terrible for her and knew she was going through a very difficult time. I'm the only family she's with, and she needed all the help she could get through a difficult time in her life. Our mom lives away from here with her brother, so she can't help her. For the past year, I've allowed her to stay with me without paying rent because my husband and I make enough money to cover it, and she wouldn't even have to do any household chores because we all helped out financially. We treated her like a child, and this is how she chose to live. I think it was only natural for me to become angry, but in the past few months I could tell that she was feeling better because she was going out with her friends and other things, but she still refused to get a job. Instead, she was using her savings or the money our mom sent her as an allowance until she found something worthwhile, which I thought was a really odd way for a woman in her mid-20s. Since she was obviously not doing that, I thought it was a strange way of life. In any case, our relationship had gotten worse over the past few months because she simply wouldn't listen to me, even though I thought I was giving her good advice. Last month, I discovered I was pregnant, so my husband and I decided we couldn't have her living with us any longer. She was also trying to find a job, which had been causing a lot of arguments because she wanted me to get off her back and stop nagging her, and I thought she was being wasteful. We wanted to turn her room into the nursery because it would just become too much trouble. Fortunately, we didn't even need to talk to her about it because a few days after I found out I was pregnant, Janet's boyfriend Caleb approached me and said he needed help choosing a ring because he was planning to pop the question. The two have been together for 4 years, and he's a good guy who has been with her through thick and thin. The only reason Janet hadn't. He had previously worked with her in the same department and had also been laid off with her, so the past year hadn't been great for him either. However, a few months ago, he was able to find a new job, and he told me that he was planning to stay with his parents for a few months during the engagement before moving into an apartment he liked and asking Janet to accompany him. He just needed to save money for it for a few months. He was worried about the costs, but I assured him that I would pay her portion of the rent for the first few months until she found something I truly wanted the house to have, because his savings had taken a significant financial hit because he was no longer living with his parents, unlike Janet. I wanted Janet to move out, so I asked him to find an apartment, move into it, and then propose. After that, he should ask Janet to marry him and move in with him, and that would be ideal. I came up with this plan because I wanted to avoid destroying my already strained relationship with Janet by bringing up awkward topics about her staying with us. This way, it was a win-win situation for all of us, so I didn't give it much thought. Within a few weeks, he had finalized an apartment. Caleb and I had our little agreement, and everything went exactly as I had anticipated. A few days after her engagement, Janet moved out, but as soon as she got a ring and a place to stay, her attitude toward me completely changed, and I could tell something wasn't right. Even so, I never thought she would actually decline my invitation to her engagement party after everything I had done for her. When I confronted her, she said that I was a fool, that I hadn't been helpful at all, that I had only put undue pressure on her over the past few months, and that I had caused her needless anxiety. She was happy to be out, so after she blocked me, she made it clear that she no longer wanted to interact with me. I was furious. So I called Caleb and informed him that I was terminating our small agreement because Janet was obviously very ungrateful, and I didn't need to worry about her or what had happened to her any longer. She's an adult woman who can take care of herself, and she's not my child, so I don't need to feel bad about this. This put him in a difficult situation as well, but I couldn't have cared less about that at the time because in any case, I was furious when that happened, and she unblocked me a few days later and began to apologize. Yesterday, my mother called and told me that I was acting really strangely and that everything I had done was absolutely unnecessary. She said that I didn't really need to manipulate Janet and Caleb to get her out of my house. I could have just sat her down and had an honest conversation with her, and everything would have been clear. Perhaps I do. I don't think she's entirely wrong about that, but to be fair, Janet has been really difficult to deal with for the past few months, and I didn't want to make things worse by attempting to have that conversation because I knew she wouldn't take it well unless she had somewhere to go. My mother also claimed that by pulling out of the deal, I was causing needless trouble for Caleb, who was essentially innocent throughout the entire situation, but I couldn't. I don't care about that either, and it's embarrassing for our family. I suppose she's right, which is why I've been thinking about it a lot. I suppose I shouldn't back out of the deal because I would be a pretty big jerk if I did, but I also don't feel like helping Janet, especially after what she said. She called me a fool after I had done so much for her over the past year. I'm in a complete bind right now, and I really need some sound advice. Causing problems for my sister and brother-in-law to be updated. I want to thank everyone who replied to my post. After careful consideration, I have decided to speak with Caleb about it because I believe that he is the only person in the situation to whom I owe an explanation. After all, he did everything I asked of him because he trusted me, and I don't want to put him in a difficult situation, so I told him that I would be helping him as soon as Janet is able to find a job. I want all the money back, and this is a one-time temporary favor for Janet because I don't want to see her again after this. I also didn't want Caleb to be caught in the crossfire because, as I mentioned, he's a generally nice guy and I don't think it would be fair to leave him hanging, especially given his financial situation. He seemed very relieved when I spoke to him on the phone, and he told me that he could understand that I was upset about everything, but he was really glad that I had decided not to back out of the deal because it would put him in a difficult situation. He also advised me to try to work things out with Janet, but that's where I draw the line because I don't want to be involved with my family right now, not even with my mom. She did make a point, though, about how I could have simply spoken to Janet, been truthful with her, and told her that I was pregnant and that I wanted her to leave. I believe she is unaware that I have been trying to be kind to Janet for a very long time, but she has been making things very difficult for me. In addition, my mom has been giving her an allowance each month, despite my repeated warnings that this kind of behavior would ensure that she never found employment or recovered, but she disregarded all of that. I suppose I am a fool because, at the end of the day, I feel like my family has taken advantage of me. Janet clearly used me as a place to stay without paying any rent, and my mother essentially used me to help Janet without considering my thoughts or feelings. Had she cared, she would have considered my advice and tried to help Janet get back on her feet by forcing her to find a new job and wouldn't have continued to give her money. She wasn't even thrilled about my pregnancy. She was only worried about Janet's predicament and didn't even congratulate me. I'm starting a new journey as a mother, and I want to start that on a positive note. I don't want any negativity in my life right now, so I'm going to be completely cut off from my mom and my sister. It will be difficult, I won't lie, because aside from them, my only family members are my in-laws. My dad passed away in an against the world as kids. Janet and I used to be very close, but as we grew up, we drifted apart. More recently, I thought we were reconnecting, but this happened. And now I think I'm better off without any of these people because even though I'll be going through a difficult time, we don't have much contact with his side of the family because his parents also passed away shortly after the accident when I was 7. It's been 5 weeks since my last update, and today I had a day off, so I was spending it at home. Just as I was about to leave work, I heard the doorbell ring, and when I looked out, I saw my mom standing outside. I had been feeling lonely, but at least I'll be living stress-free, and even if I don't have my family by my side, I'll still have my husband, and I think that's enough for me to update too. The last time we didn't get to meet, she told me that she had come by because Janet really wanted her to meet Caleb's parents in a more intimate capacity, so they had a family dinner, and she had flown in specifically for that. She really dislikes traveling and staying out because that's just not comfortable for her. She had only returned for a day on the day of the engagement party and had taken a flight back home the very next morning. For the past few weeks, she had been attempting to get in touch with me and reaching out quite frequently, but I had been ignoring her. Now that she was standing right outside my door, I obviously couldn't pretend that I hadn't heard the phone ringing or that I had been busy, so I had to let her in. After we spoke, she expressed her sincere regret for her earlier behavior. I suppose this is why she chose to come rather than simply leave right away. She told me that it was very uncharacteristic of me to go behind someone's back and make arrangements like this just to get them out of my house when the same thing could be done by having a proper discussion with that person. However, she ultimately believed that my behavior had also been equally strange and uncalled for. I had to explain to her that Janet and I had been having a lot of problems for a couple of months, and that I did not want to make that worse even though I was being. If she had checked up on me as often as she did on Janet, she would have understood why I was taking these steps because, as the bigger person, I was trying to avoid any drama and was going out of my way to help her so she wouldn't end up in a difficult place where she wouldn't have anywhere else to go. It's obvious that she didn't know how the situation really was on my side, but I did tell her that she was right, just like I had done previously, and I said that despite the fact that we were already having a lot of arguments, so I should have simply told her that I was pregnant and asked her to leave her room in my house. She probably would have handled it quite well, and if she didn't, I should have taken my chances rather than making the extra effort to find her a suitable living arrangement to prevent any arguments or drama. My mom was a smartass at that point, and chose to keep quiet, but then she brought up my pregnancy, and we talked about it for a while. A bit, but I had been feeling very angry anyhow, so I was being very dry with her. After a while, she told me that she understood that I was still angry with her, and that I had every right to be, but she was the baby's grandmother after all, and she really wanted things to return to normal. She asked me to stop ignoring her because she really wanted to stay in touch and check in on the pregnancy. I told her that I would give it some thought, but for now, I just need I don't know what to think of this interaction, but at least we got some things out of the way. I'm not sure if I'll be responsive to her now that she's texting and calling again, but I might try. At least I'm not as upset as I was before this, so that's an improvement of sorts. Update 3. Hello, it's been 3 weeks since my last update, and my mom has been constantly attempting to stay in touch with me, and I've been responding on I take my time, and she's just going to have to deal with it if she wants to have any kind of contact with her grandchild, at least until the next grandchild comes along, if you understand what I mean. Otherwise, I don't, and most of the time I don't, but at least I'm not ignoring her completely and shutting her out like I was before. I'm still not happy with how the situation with my family turned out, so I'm taking my time. I believe my mother's situation has somewhat improved, but my sister's situation is essentially unchanged. At least emotionally, we are still very far apart and don't want to interact with each other. Since our last conversation, Caleb and I haven't spoken, but he has informed me that she has found a job and will begin repaying me in a few weeks. I'm glad that's going to happen because I had nearly given up hope that I don't know why it took her so long to get back on her feet, but I'm glad that it's happening now for her own good, and I'm just happy that I won't have to deal with this mess any longer. Right now, the only thing I'm interested in is my baby, and the pregnancy is going so well. Morning sickness has already set in, so that's the only issue I've been having. But other than that, I'm really excited to become a mother, and since my husband is aware of that, I don't exactly get along well with my family right now, but he has been going above and beyond to keep me happy and occupied. His family has also been working very hard, especially my mother-in-law. I'm fortunate to be among the women who have a supportive mother-in-law because she has been coming over quite a bit to take care of me and make sure I don't overdo it. She has even started cooking for us and doing other things that I can't do. Tell you guys how helpful that has been. I'm a little sad that my own mother isn't helping me other than trying to stay in touch, but I suppose that's always been her. I'm grateful that I'm not Janet because I doubt I could have compromised my privacy, because if she had been pregnant, she would have flown in and moved in with her. Hello, it's been 2 weeks since my last update, and today I got my first payment. Janet messaged me to let me know that she had received her first paycheck a few days ago, and that she felt it would be appropriate to repay me going forward for all of the support and assistance I had given her during a difficult time last year. She also expressed her sincere regret for her previous behavior and her hope that we could become friends again. Reading that made me feel a little strange and emotional, so I thanked her and told her that I hope the same, and that's it. There are still many payments to make, but I hope she doesn't send me heartfelt messages like this one again because, to be honest, it makes me feel awful about everything that happened, and I don't need that right now. I just want to feel happy and enjoy this time of my life. I don't want to dwell on the past. Speaking of that, my mom called me earlier this week to ask how I'm doing with my pregnancy. I gave it some thought, but I decided against it because, first of all, I know that no matter how much she wants to volunteer her time to see me and help me, it's extremely uncomfortable for her. She told me that she could take a bus and travel on alternate weekends so she could see me and help me out. Flights would get too expensive for frequent traveling, so the bus would have to do it anyway. It's only a 6-hour ride from her place to here, so it wouldn't be too much trouble. She doesn't travel much because of back and knee issues, so she takes flights here even though they are only 45 minutes long. Part of the reason was that, although we are grateful for the offer, I know that if she comes over, she will stay with me because I'm pregnant now, and she usually stays at hotels because they are more opulent, and it gets a little. I had planned a vacation for her, but now that things have changed and I know she'll want to stay with me, I don't want to compromise my privacy, especially since we're both working hard and hardly get to see each other during the week. He's working overtime for a raise, and I'm trying to finish all of my work before I go on maternity leave, so the only time we have is on the weekends, and I don't want to give up any of them, but I knew my mom was eager to come see me, so I thought of another option. I told her that she could come see us on the last weekend of each month, which would remove the need for her to travel every other weekend and allow her to spend some time with us. That seemed to work out for both of us, so that's what we decided. My husband and I will still have to give up one weekend, but my mother is making an effort, which I appreciate, so we can handle it with my mother-in-law as well. Feels that it's a good idea because, in the end, family is important, and everyone can see that despite my best efforts to hide it, I did miss having a good relationship with them. Of course, whatever had happened was wrong, and I had every right to be angry with them. But if they were trying and I wanted to give them another chance, that was also beneficial to me. For these reasons, I think it's a good idea, and I sincerely hope I can mend things with my mother. My sister and I are at a standstill, but I don't mind that she's doing well for herself, I hope, and so am I right now. I just want to concentrate on the future and make sure that's good because, honestly, right now, the baby is the most important thing in my life, and I'm going to do whatever makes me happy as long as I'm happy. Or at least that's what I've heard. Update 5. Hey, it's been a while. It's been a month since I last posted, and I just now have the time because I've been really busy with my baby for the past few weeks. My daughter was born about 3 weeks ago, and she is a joy to everyone. I'm so happy that my mother and I stopped the arrangement we had discussed in my previous post here, which was quite some time ago, but she began visiting me every last weekend for the few days before my due date. It was actually quite pleasant. She sincerely apologized to me, telling me that she hadn't been a good mother to me and that she wanted to make amends now, not only because of her grandchild, but also because it was the right thing to do. She also told me that she loves me and Janet equally, but that she had become a little biased over the past year because Janet had been going through a lot, and perhaps that's why she wanted me to be kinder to her as well. In this way, she hadn't realized that she was treating me unfairly, apologized for that as well, and I believe that a lot of time has gone by, so I chose to forgive her. We have also agreed to work on our relationship and try to get better. As for Janet, she had been gradually repaying me the money she owed me, and by last month, she had paid me her final installment. During that time, she hadn't sent me any heartfelt messages like she had the first time, but she told me that she truly wanted to speak with me to make amends and apologize for I chose to invite her home because of everything she had done, and she essentially broke down as she apologized to me, saying that she had been in a difficult mental place, and that the reason she had been acting out was because she was ungrateful and that I didn't deserve any of that. She also said that she was really happy that I had chosen to speak with her, so even Janet and I have decided that we will try to work it out, and perhaps we will be as close as we were as kids. She has been coming to see me a lot since my daughter was born, and she seems to love her Aunt Janet, so I'm glad about that. As I mentioned at the beginning, the baby has truly brought everyone together, and I feel like everything has been resolved since she was born, because almost everyone was there for me during my labor and delivery, including my husband, his family, and my family, and I believe that the day will always be my life's most memorable day.